liberty, and justice for all.
And thank you to everybody for coming again. We're going to start this evening off with some recognition. Hello, Mr. Gonzalez.
Hello, thank you. Hello to everybody, and I think it's fitting that tonight happens to be a special meeting because it got rescheduled from Tuesday due to the snow, because it is special to look out and see all of these LES learners out there. We are going to be honoring 6 LES students. I'll call you by your first name, and you can come up, and then you can introduce yourself. They had the opportunity to go to a student leadership conference, 4 of them, that they'll speak a little bit about, and then 2 of our friends with Mrs. Schumann will talk about their recognition for excellence in the arts and music. So if I could have Catherine, Troy, Isaac, and Zoe come on up to talk about their student leadership conference, and then Sarah and Mia come on up to talk with Mrs. Schumann about their excellence in art and music. Mrs. Scorso, could you please put the mic on for them? Thank you very much.
Okay, so these are our leadership students, and they were able to attend the CAS Leadership Conference for Students in January, and they can talk to you a little bit more about what they learned from that session, and Mrs. Olson was able to go with them this year. Go ahead. Do you want to start us off, Zoe?
One thing that I learned that there's a difference between a good leader and a great leader.
Thank you, Zoe. Awesome. Go ahead.
One thing I learned is to don't be a bystander, be an upstander.
Awesome.
I learned how the choices make stress, and if you have stress, it's not a way to a path of being a good leader.
What I learned is to take action.
Thanks, Troy. So these are our leadership students.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, guys. It's so great to hear what you're learning and taking away, and that we're growing some leaders down at the elementary school.
Yeah, and friends, I wanted to thank you also for being willing to come up and demonstrate your leadership by speaking in front of the Board of Education. I know that that's not always easy to get up in front of people, and you did a great job doing that. And I look forward to you being leaders in our district for many years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mrs. Schumann can introduce our art festival students. So this is Cyril and Mia, and each year Mrs. Johnson and I are lucky enough that we get to choose one student for music and one for art to represent LES at the CAS Award Night at the AquaTurf. It's all fancy and nice. So Mia and Cyril came with us to the AquaTurf, and they got to have their caricatures drawn at this banquet, and we got to see a really cool puppet show. We learned about all different sorts of puppets and have a nice dinner and ice cream. So Mia is our excellent musician, and Cyril is our excellent artist. So congratulations.
We have some certificates for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Zoe.
His sister's
Mrs. Schwartz is going to take a picture of the group outside. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you so much.
Okay, we will move on to our communication. We got an exciting piece of communication from the LES PTA.
Yes, the LES PTA does amazing things for our community, for our students, for our staff. They've once again stepped up and decided that they'd like to donate 2 Promethean boards along with the extended service agreement and the brackets needed for installation to LES. They've coordinated this purchase with Mr. Dulac, and I did write a response to them, thanking them very much for the donation, letting them know it would be well received and put to great use. So thank you to the LES PTA.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Does everybody know what a Promethean board is? Yes, like a smart board, like on top of it. Like a big technology.
And just as a plug, we are piloting some new reading programs, and these reading programs are more than ever reliant on reliable technology. So to have the most current type of smart board for our teachers to be working from is imperative to get through the daily slides as part of the reading curriculum. I know that Mr. Dulac has put together a plan to refresh technology or to replace technology over a 5-year period, and donations like this only expedite that process.
So grateful. Thank you, PTA. Yes, go ahead.
Are they mobile? Or are they being placed?
These are going to be mounted in a central location of the classroom, but there are ones that are on carts like that can be maneuvered around.
Okay, now we move on to our public participation section of the agenda. According to 11 Board of Education bylaws, we will allocate up to 30 minutes for public participation, with each individual speaker allocated up to 2 minutes. At this time, are there any members of the public who wish to speak this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda.
Motion that we proceed with the consent agenda.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Andrew. Any discussion?
So this were, sorry, Alex, number 9 and 10 need some revisions, so we could do 1 through 8, I suppose.
Okay, so you'd like to discuss numbers 9 and 10. Brian, would you like to amend your motion?
I will amend my motion to approve the consent agenda numbers 1 through 8.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by Brian, second by Andrew. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. We move on to consent agenda number 9.
Okay, I was just looking at the minutes of the Finance Subcommittee meeting and the Board of Ed special meeting minutes, and there was a little bit of confusion that I had. So I did reach out to our athletic director about numbers and terminology used. It's in reference to resurfacing the track or repairing the track. And it's in the Finance Subcommittee meeting, it's written as they request resurfacing the track with a project cost of $77,500, or a surface replacement with a cost minimum of $350,000. The error is that, well, first there's 2 errors. One is the cost amount is actually $75,700. In both minutes, it's wrong. And the clarification is that the first item, $75,700, is to repair the track surface, and the amount for $350,000 is more intensive. It's a replacement of the surface. They'd be clearing off the top several inches, getting to the bottom. So one is like a patch job, and one is a replacement of just the top. So I want to change the money amount to 75,700, and I'll just clean up the wording.
Attending both of those meetings, I think it was more of just the wording or the definition of resurfacing when it comes to a track. So resurfacing the track is taking down an entire layer. For someone who doesn't know, like myself, I'd be like, oh, that's your full replacement. But when you're in that track world, the resurfacing means you take down that full first surface, but you're not replacing everything below it. So I think it's just consistency that we should use consistent words, either resurfacing in both minutes or replacement in both minutes, so we don't sound like we're talking about something completely different.
So I move that we change the terminology and numbers to accurately reflect the dollar figures.
Is it an upgrade? Would you consider it an upgrade?
I don't think either one of them is an upgrade. They're both a repair of some kind. The first one is a quicker repair, more surface level, and the other one is a more intensive replacement of the top layer. So it's not an upgrade, really. We're just looking to extend it a little bit longer.
Dawn?
So I was in that meeting. This service to students is very broad. I wrote down the coding only is $75,700, which I like 5 years, and then the surface, which is the top layer, is something that helps the coding versus a resurface.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm looking at the special meeting board minutes, which is on page 21 of our packet. I'm assuming this is where you are also. Number of variation is due to track coating repair, 75,700, is that the correct?
That's correct, yep.
75,700. Did you get that, Hannah? I'm sorry.
Got the numbers, yeah.
Okay, for a coating repair. So this is to the special meeting on January 25th. Okay. Did you want to change anything else in those minutes to know?
No, that one's okay with that change.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is it track replacement versus the top layer? Or is that like a replacement of the whole thing? Because I don't know if replacement is the correct, that I would work.
Maybe full repair, would that be more clear?
I don't know. Surface replacement.
So in my opinion, I think it's a resurfacing is the simple version, which is the track repair. Full track repair. And then the other one, the track replacement, is literally a demo and replacement of the existing.
So we do want to change the language of the special meeting minutes.
All of it. So with the resurfacing or repair, you would keep the substrate that's there now. You would just put on the top, top element and replace that.
So full surface replacement.
Is the 350,000?
Yes. Instead of, I don't have both of them at the same time up here. Can we replace it to say full surface replacement for $350,000?
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Motion to amend the special meeting from January 25th, full board meeting as proposed. Please, oh, yes.
You said it should be. It's correct everywhere else, just not. Sure. Thank you.
Motion to amend as proposed. Please raise your hand. Three, yes, that passes unanimously. Okay. Did you also want to amend the facilities,
Okay.
finance?
I'd like to amend the Finance Subcommittee meeting minutes to reflect the dollar figure $75,700 to repair the track.
Everyone's in line. It needs to match the special.
Same language.
Yeah, Mr. Elliott said it's track respray and stripe. So you're really just the very top.
Is there a motion, is that the motion?
And then you want the language to say we have to change surface reflective to full surface reflective.
Do you agree, Danelle?
Agreed.
Okay, motion by Danelle, seconded by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, student representatives report. Hello, Avery.
I agree.
Hi, happy belated Valentine's Day, everybody.
You too.
So for LES, the whole band started practicing about a few weeks ago, so that we started getting ready for the spring concert. So normally they do different musical instrument practices, so like trumpets in one practice, flutes in another, but they actually started doing the entire thing so that they can get a feel for everybody and singing the different sounds. And then 24th graders came up to line and do Jellyfish in the new Little Mermaid musical that's coming up. They're little umbrellas, so really cute. You guys should go and see the show. It's on video. The book fair happened a week ago. It's a big hit. Everyone loves the book fair. You can always get free books, diaries that you'll never use. The first graders and the rest of the school got to celebrate the 100 days of school. The kindergartners got to dress up like girls. One of them was very cute. She had a wig, glasses, and the first graders was Let's Glow. So they did 100 things related to glow sticks. Kindergartners just did 100 things in general. And then literacy night was on February 8th. One of the kids that I work with, he was very excited to go and read his new books and just get to explore new genres that he might never seen. Pre-K celebrated Chinese New Year with some fortune cookies and a little party. The PTA, speaking of that you mentioned earlier, the PTA held a little dance for the kids, and I thought that was really sweet. And then I'm late to this trend, but the elementary school sells like spirit sticks. They're embroidered little things with sayings on them. Like Valentine's Day theme was a breakfast theme, and one of them was a "Don't Go Baking My Heart." I thought that was really cute. They can collect them and like put them on a keychain. So I think that's really nice to spread around like love and joy around LES. And then on to LMS, they're putting on a play. I couldn't catch the name of it, but I know it's about murderers, so I feel like it'd be really fun with that group of kids because they're all great actors. The wrestling team did a great job this season. They had a pretty good record. Ski and Snowboard Club for Lyman and LMS have been having a ball with the cold weather recently, and I know that they've had a lot of fun. I've seen the posts on Instagram people have been making. And then the elementary school and the middle school did a Wear Red Day for the American Heart Association. I know a lot of kids wore red. A lot of kids that I work with came in wearing red, and I thought that was really sweet to help heart awareness and like that type of stuff. Garden Club started, and with only 6 members, they've been doing an amazing job. They've already planted over 24 plants. They've started working on the greenhouse that's at LMS. Girls basketball, they won their first game in 3 years, which is really impressive, and I'm happy for the coach. Book fair was this weekend. Kids are already scouting it out. It's more fun for the middle schoolers. And then there was assembly on bullying, which I thought was really appropriate and really informative for the kids there. And then for Lyman, midterms went really well, minus that one schedule change because of a snow day. So I'm glad that worked out well. The class of 2025 put on a black and white themed dance for the school in honor of Valentine's Day. They raised about $400, which is insane for their class, and they need it. And then Spirit Week was really fun. We had a pep rally at the end of the week, and we played games like Hungry Hungry Hippo. There was an obstacle course that kids had to do, musical chairs, a shootout where Mr. G carried most of the teacher group. Yeah, I saw you at the end. You just stood there. You were waiting. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the pillars out in the front, Miss Air thought of a brilliant idea for each grade to decorate the pillars. So you saw like the weird decorations with Barbie and all that. That was for the grades, so it was part of the contest to win Spirit Week. You get to go out, decorate a pillar. The freshmen had pink, the sophomores had green, the juniors had red, and the seniors had blue. And they all kind of decorated it to what their theme of their photo booth would be. And then that's what Miss Air went out and judged. And then Ag is now going, there's a lot of interconnecting between the schools this month. Ag is going down to the middle school to try to get more kids into the Ag program and see what it's like so that they come to Lyman and instead of like a tech school. And then our contemporary band went to Wyndham Hospital to perform for the Go Red in honor of that. And they said they had a really fun time. A lot of people enjoyed it. Indoor track states were held last Friday. I believe we had like 8-ish people that went. Yeah, about 8 people that went, which is amazing, out of boys and girls. But only one of them made it to state opens, which is Laurelyn Boyer for pole vaulting. So I'm really proud of her for doing that, and as a junior. Speaking of sports, and congratulations, Hunter Sanchez won the ECC championship for his weight class in the 120 weight class. So congrats to Hunter. And then finally, for Valentine's Day, FFA went around selling roses, and like you could buy little bouquets of roses for $5, and they were beautiful. They raised a lot of money from that too. So that's really all I have. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Lots of good news.
Thank you. I try to be thorough.
Policy 1007, use of school facilities. We actually tabled that to be brought up at next month's policy meeting. We wanted to take a little bit more time to go through that. Policy 9012, we did not have any changes, so there's nothing to report there. And then we've got some red line policies, 5005, 5009, 5010, and 4005 that the subcommittees recommended for first reading. And that was the policy upgrade.
Any questions on policy?
Okay, so facility subcommittee also held tonight. Lyman roof, the roof work was completed. There is a punch list on some things that do need to be fixed, and John Jarvis is working and will schedule that with the company. The Lyman Auditorium lighting, there was a delay in material and labor. It was rescheduled to the 19th and 20th of February. It will be completed by the end of the 20th. So that will complete phases 1 and 3, and then phase 2 will be done next year. Lebanon Middle School gym lettering. Mr. Gonzalez and John Jarvis have a suggestion that we might be doing the home of the Panthers in the actual floor when that gets redone. While it might be a bit more expensive, it'll be really pop, look much brighter, and we could still do something with the walls later if we so chose to do that. It would be a nice change, very different. Middle school greenhouse. Mr. Johnson continues to integrate the use of the greenhouse. The gardening club, as you heard, has been resurrected, and they've actually started to make some plants, so geraniums, lavender, snap peas, Swiss chard, so they've got seedlings going over there, so that's awesome. Snow removal, lots of good news coming from that. New vendor, Mr. Gonzalez said it was a great transition. They've had great prep, wonderful communications, and good treatment after the storms. And they've been learning as they go, so all good news coming from that, so that's wonderful to hear. Middle school asbestos project. Want to get ahead of it a little bit. They got about 1,200 square feet to do this summer, so John Jarvis is getting in touch with them now to start planning that process. And then the water heater at Lyman is on its way out. John did a bunch of different investigating, came up with a solution that we'll be voting on later for non-lapsing, roughly $7,000 versus up to as much as $30,000. So really a huge savings there because like you're doing the work themselves. And that was it. So,
Great, thank you. Thanks for stepping in. Go ahead, Don.
How much is left for the asbestos?
it's 12,000 square feet. That'll be the end of this project, I believe. This is the remaining what's left.
Thank you.
At 4:45, call to order. Committee discussed current procedure for entrance to athletic events. Conversations were had about how to improve attendance, specifically increasing student support. The committee also suggested that increased communication regarding fees to games and how to purchase tickets be shared. The next topic was a lot of discussion on update on sending towns, and there were three towns that were discussed: Columbia, and Mr. Gonzalez said he would be meeting with the Columbia superintendent. He actually has had a conversation, as I understand, and so that is, it sounds like it's in motion to potentially go a little bit further, right? Lisbon, we're talking, currently in first year of a new sending school agreement. Ongoing efforts are taking place to build on this relationship. Lyman administration presented Lisbon's open house, and Lisbon students visited our campus. Canterbury, Principal Apicelli presented the Canterbury Board of Education. They were very impressed and interested to learn more about tuition costs and the possibility of having more than one town as a sending option for ASTE students. Alternative high school, there were a couple other issues that we sort of ran long on time, short on time, long on discussion. So we did not get to the alternative high schools or the community outreach involvement. And we adjourned meeting at 5:36.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Finance, Rachel.
We met tonight. We went over the detailed template of the budget, reviewing the increases as well as several decreases that have been made to the budget. And that is driving us at currently a 4.9 increase. We talked about this fiscal year. We're still in a better position now than we were last year at this time. and Andy and Northville will take a deeper dive into that once this budget has been finalized, just to make sure that we are on track. And then we're going to meet again as a subcommittee just to review everything one more time. Any changes we want to make next Wednesday, the 21st, before we meet as a full board at a special meeting on Thursday, the 22nd.
Everyone catch that? Thursday, the 22nd. Thank you. Thanks, Rach. Any questions? And Dawn? No, okay. Thank you, everybody. All right, we'll move on to our administrators' reports. Are there any administrators who'd like to add to their reports this evening? Missed you, Jay.
I apologize because I did not get a chance to put a report in there, but I did want to give you you heard some great things from Avery. That I have to push this down, right? My bad. But I did want to let people know that as you guys were walking in, you saw our girls basketball team playing. They won. So they're on to the semifinals at Fitch on Saturday. I don't know if we know their opponent yet, but it is Wyndham. Okay, so it's Wyndham. Tomorrow, I keep clicking on that. Wrestling is going to the class championships tomorrow. It's a 2-day tournament, so we'll see if we have any state champions in wrestling. Tomorrow also, our boys basketball team is traveling to Putnam for their last regular season game. This past, yesterday was their senior night. The girls' senior night for basketball was Monday night. So all of our have officially played like their last regular season game. I did want to mention on the 22nd, I know you guys have a meeting, but Scott Driscoll, who presented to the high school and the middle school, is doing a special parent program. And I don't know if you saw the posters on like Facebook that's called SMART, Social Media and Responsible Technology. He's presenting to parents. I went to the last parent presentation, and I was very surprised and worried about some of the stuff that he talked about that could be found on our, like my kids' phones. So it was.
The time for that?
Yep, it's 6:30 to. He's got down 6:30 to 7:30. He's got it in the auditorium, but I have no idea where you guys were going to meet. It's a matter of we can move things around.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to really make sure I mentioned to everybody, and you might have seen some posters about it, is Evening with the Arts. That's happening on Wednesday, February 28th. If you have not ever attended this, please do, because this is a district-wide celebration of art. And, from, our little students to our high school students, they usually do like a preview of the musical, the contemporary ensemble, like our garage band, performs. They do all kinds of like chorus and band from all the different schools. It's an absolutely amazing night. So, if you can, Wednesday the 28th from 6 to 8. And then, you heard Avery talk about The Little Mermaid. So I was hoping to get a picture to give you like their promotional poster. It looks so cool. But the Little Mermaid's going to be on March 8th, 9th, and 10th. So it'll like each one of those days. So the 8th, we're doing 7, it starts at 7. On the 9th, they have down 4 o'clock. And then on Sunday, the 10th, they have 2 o'clock. So it is really going to be a great show, and I cannot wait to see those, like when Avery said that the little like jellyfish, like I wish you could have seen how excited those kids were. And I was watching some of our kids, interact with them, and some of the kids when they were coming out, they were hugging their group leader, like their jellyfish group leader. It was really cool. So I can't wait to see that.
expose our kids to, to each other. So what a great opportunity. Thanks for-
And yeah, I mean, I got to give like Katie Ricard, the director, credit. I mean, she's really pulling out all the stops on this one. So I'm really excited.
Thanks, Jay.
Yep.
Okay, move on to the superintendent's report.
All right, so we have 5 things under the report of the superintendent that are all important projects that you'll receive some updates on tonight. The first one is the Increasing Educator Diversity Plan. So Public Act 23-167 requires boards of education to submit an educator diversity plan to the State Department on or before March 15th. So knowing this legislation was out there, decided to take the lead on this project and have worked in close consultation with neighboring districts, with the State Department themselves, attending webinars and information sessions, and then consulting with EastCon to receive their feedback. Put together a draft plan that I will be bringing to you in March before this due date for your official approval, and then submitting it to the state. Just some interesting pieces. So we are not required to have a policy on increasing educator diversity, but we do. I will be bringing and have brought forward some small revisions specifically to the language. A strong emphasis has been put on decreasing and not using the term minority when talking about this project, and really focusing on diversity and increasing that. So the policy speaks to the board's commitment and recognition that there will be a substantial effort to close the gap between increasing diversity of our students and the current underrepresentation among the educator workforce. The reason why I read that, did a little bit of research into our Frontline application system, and since we've been using Frontline, we've had over 2,200 applicants. Of that number, only 166 were not white. So I think we have room to improve in terms of how do we attract a more diverse applicant pool. That being said, we will continue to use best practices for hiring, and that's part of the Increasing Educator Diversity Plan, to put the best candidates into the positions, irregardless of their race or their gender, because there's more than just race when we're talking about educator diversity. But I do think it's an area that we can grow as a district to try to attract a more diverse talent pool. One of the things that recently came out is working with Chelsea today. There's a job fair in Mystic that is something that I'm going to be looking to try to take our district to. Those are, again, some of the action steps that you'll see next month when I share the Educator Diversity Plan. Any questions about that plan? That will be formally shared with you next month. You're welcome. So school day preschool, just for clarification purposes, we have half-day classes, 2 sessions in the morning, 2 separate classrooms, 2 sessions in the afternoon, currently at the elementary school. We are in the process and have made some great strides to start a school day classroom, which would operate full day for the hours that school are in session. The reason why we don't call it full day, because then that would extend outside of school hours and could be, drop off before school hours, pick up after school hours. This will only be during the school day. So taking you back last year, we had sent out a survey to the community to see if there would be an interest in a school day program. As luck would have it for us, legislation got passed later that same year, changing the kindergarten entry age. So there is a gap of some students that may not, that may have been planning to go to kindergarten now, based on legislation, are not allowed to, unless they apply for a special waiver and go through a district-wide assessment. So the need from the community, based on the survey we sent out, was there. And then this legislation that has come out has also led us to this development. So we've met with EastCon consultants. Mrs. Scorso has been awesome about taking the lead on much of this work, but we've collaborated with Rita Keelis-Glover and Dawn Lilia, myself, and the EastCon consultants to develop, first to do a space and needs analysis, to develop entrance criteria, put together enrollment paperwork. We reviewed the sliding scale for fees based on state median income, because this will be a revenue-generated program. We've talked about class size and special education ratios. We've looked into the certification and decided that as a district, we want to have a duly certified staff member leading that program. Mrs. Scorso and her office staff have worked hard to put together some great informational sheets that will be going out to the community very shortly to announce that this new classroom will be in existence and to jumpstart the application and enrollment process. So excited about how we're able to creatively redesign our current staff to operate in different roles. I think this will be a great addition to the elementary school. Any questions about the school day classroom? All right, strategic plan and update from last meeting. The steering committee has officially been formed. We have members of this Board of Education that will be on it. The administrative team will be contributing greatly to that. We have a teacher rep from each school. We also have parents from each school. And earlier this week, I actually met with student focus groups at the middle school and high school to talk to them about what their ideas are on what the classroom or their school could look like 2030, and that was a reach to get them thinking 5 years ahead. So we asked them, what could it look like now? What would they like to see different? What would they like to see more of? So that was some enlightening conversations. I am also working with an East Con consultant on this to make sure that there's equity and voice in this process, and that is not something that is seen as being led by just me, but it's truly a team and community effort. We have activities and agendas designed for that. We have dates set for the meetings over the course of the spring. We're looking to have the vision, the core values, and the strategic goals done by the summer, and then I'll work with the leadership team to put some specific action steps in place. And I hope to be able to send this plan out to the community, families and students and staff with our back to school and another exciting project is the school study that we are working with the selectmen. There's a subcommittee of the town to get going with this process. We're using the surplus funds that were provided to us, and we're in early stages of this. There's a kickoff meeting with SLAM Collaborative, in which they met with myself and other district representatives to get enrollment data, to get school floor plans and maps, and just to have a conversation about some of the future possibilities, like a school day, preschool classroom, or possible alternative high school option, so that they can have a full understanding of where we are as a district, where we've been as a district, and where we might go. Then they had, from that meeting, they had what they call a master standards plan meeting, which they went over all the different criteria that they'll be assessing our current standing and making their recommendations from. After they did that with school personnel, they met with this subcommittee, went over that very same process. Notes were actually just shared with us today. I'll include those in your weekly updates so that you can take a look. Any questions about the school study? Oh, one thing I did forget. They are coming out for their site visit the 19th and 20th. So next Monday and Tuesday when school is not in session, that way they can really dive deep into all elements and facets of our school, look at all the mechanical systems, get up on the roof if need be. So it will be a busy place between that and the auditorium lighting taking place. Even though students and staff won't be here, we'll have some very important things taking place. And last from the superintendent report is a 24-25 budget, and I know that Rachel shared out a little bit here. So backtracking a little bit, the approved capital budget was sent down to the town, so they have those from a previous meeting. Martha and I did make some adjustments to excess cost reimbursement calculation as the percentage has decreased over the years. It's projected to decrease again, and we haven't been fully funded anyway, so we decided to take a little bit more cautious approach to that in our budget projections. I did go back to the drawing board and make some more supply line cuts, which I have detailed to the subcommittee. There were also salary lane changes for staff who've earned new degrees or credentials. So that is a tricky thing because those are shared with us in January after a staff bulletin goes out. So we didn't have those in the October projections, so those added some costs. And then there were changes with special ed tuition and transportation, even since our last meeting. All of those things put together have us at a 4.9% increase at this point. That increase, just so everyone on the board is aware, and this is something I've shared with the subcommittee, that does not include anything that came out of the budget input sessions. So there are no increases from those input session meetings that are in that 4.9. Any questions about the 24-25 budget at this point?
What date are we meeting with the Board of Finance?
So we have just kind of going through the next weeks or so with the budget development. So we have the subcommittee meeting on Wednesday. We have the special meeting on Thursday. The following Tuesday is when I will make the presentation of what at that point will be the approved Lebanon Board of Education budget. 7 o'clock.
Any questions? Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
We'll move into the financial part, 23-24 budget. Hi, Martha.
So as Martha is getting situated there, as we do, I'll draw your attention to our percent remaining in the general fund. At this point in the year, according to this report, we have just over 40% remaining. The historical comparison for a 5-year average has us usually at 37%. So we are sitting in a little bit better position at this point than we have been in years past. However, I continue to try to articulate to you and share with the Board of Finance, we have had significant changes to special ed services and staffing throughout the year that continue to play out through the course of the budget. And in the transition of the business office, we did find some salaries that were not appropriately coded, and we're still working our way through managing that. Any questions about the 23-24 budget? All right.
Non-lapsing. Do you have anything to add, Martha?
I don't have anything to add to the budget conversation.
Non-lapsing?
We currently have a balance of $129,080 in the non-lapsing, and that includes 2 projected projects, 40,000 towards the lighting that is being installed this week, and then an additional 4,000 for some emergency repairs of masonry blocking that we have to wait on the weather for. So those 2 things, even though they haven't started, they are figured into that balance, so.
And it doesn't account for what you may be voting to approve later this meeting. So if that were to go in the direction of that being approved, we'd be closer to 123,000.
Right. Correct.
Any questions on non-lapsing? All right, thanks, Martha.
Thanks, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the LMHS sign. This is the first time that the board is talking about this together, and this is really Nicole's kind of topic that she wants to bring up, but unfortunately she couldn't be here today, so I'll try my best. So the idea is that actually all 3 of our signs do need some attention to. However, this one particular project would be some type of lit sign for Lyman, something where somebody in the main office or guidance could, type into, so that nobody had to trek through the snow to replace the letters out in the front, which can be problematic at times. I mean, that area gets pretty flooded frequently, and it's obviously right now covered in snow.
Dark.
And dark, yes. So Nicole, just preliminarily, if that's a word, went to the Planning and Zoning Committee and asked, for their blessing on whether or not they might support such project, which initially didn't seem to gain too much approval. But we decided, if we wanted to proceed with this, we may have some options. But I said, it's important that we bring this to the full Board of Education to ensure that this is something that the full board would like to kind of seek out. So I wanted to just kind of open it up for discussion, see what the board thought about this, and whether or not it was a project worth, kind of diving a little bit deeper into, figuring out how much it might cost, figuring out what roadblocks there may be for the board to go through with something like this. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or thoughts on, I don't have any pictures or anything to show you of what it could look like, but if you imagine, kind of like a lit up sign, it doesn't have to be too bright or anything, just something that says Lyman Memorial High School and maybe town meeting coming up at this date, this time, in the Lyman Auditorium, boys soccer, whatever it is, was kind of the thought, so. Go ahead.
Money, so were we thinking fundraiser? Were we thinking coming out of a budget? Were we thinking?
That we haven't thought about yet, but I'm understanding it would have to go into capital. It would, obviously, it's not in the budget this year, so this is forward thinking.
Gotcha. Okay.
But even if it's something that the board would be willing to look into, see how much it would cost.
Just with the budget the way it is currently, we've probably got some other very pressing needs. On our capital list anyway, so.
I'll just say, as a personal anecdote, I went to the other school, to what now is the middle school. Every time I drive from that direction, I always use that, the gas station as my reference point. I drive past this school entranceway all the time by accident and end up in the middle school.
Yeah.
So, I do think there is a need, and I'm certainly speaking from my own perspective on this, but, yeah, there's definitely something that needs to be done that would be more visible.
Anybody else have any thoughts? I mean, would anybody be opposed to looking into options or getting quotes, I suppose? Dawn?
I don't really think it's worth jumping that far without finding out what the town will allow, because there's no lit sign anywhere in this town.
Yeah, and that was kind of their point. I mean, they were split. It wasn't unanimous, but.
And I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
when I owned the property right across the street, they were very particular about the sign. But that was gonna be a business, not a school, so it could be very different.
Exactly, yeah. But one of the arguments was that, they allow the school district to have any type of lit up sign, then the town hall could then have something lit up, even though they're not requesting that at all. Or the fire department, and the whole town would be lit up, before you know it. So, that was one of their.
And I'm not opposed to it at all, I just think we'd be jumping ahead for not much cost if we don't even know what to do it.
Right.
So I think it was within my life in Lebanon, the last 13 years, that the current sign at Lyman went up with the lights on it. And it seemed from the beginning that the method of putting letters up is archaic, even when they put that sign up, because someone has to tromp through the snow out there, has to walk out there. And if you put an event up, it's done in a week or 2 weeks, or right now there's something that's been up there for 6 weeks, you kind of get used to seeing it. You don't pay attention to it anymore because it's been up so long. So I've always thought that having something where you can program it from the office makes so much more sense. You could change it day to day. If there's some emergency going on, you could put something on there if you needed to, or a last minute change of school hours or something, a delayed opening or early dismissal. So I'd like to investigate something, but I live on 207 and there's not a whole lot of traffic at night. So I think, and to appease the people in the town that don't like the lights, you turn it off at a certain hour. There's not any cars going by anyway after 9:30. It's a quiet town. So to help with that whole light pollution thing, I think there can definitely be restrictions that we could honor. I personally don't think you need that sort of sign at every single school, especially with the middle school right next door. And I tend to think that the elementary school's activities are more geared toward that particular school's activities anyway, and the parents are getting alerted through their emails and papers. So it's not like I need to let the entire town of Lebanon and anyone going down 207 know that there's a dance for fourth graders tonight.
Right.
So I'm not opposed to looking into it. I do think, like Brian said, the budget the way it is now, to think of an unnecessary expense, it's kind of hard to put that forward. But it's always a concern like we have about, you know, advertising our events, trying to get more people to come out and know what's going on in town.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Rachel?
How did you believe that other meeting with them was? Do you feel if we did investigate, came back with a proposal like Manel has, which is a great idea, and with, you know, well, for us with these costs, that they would be receptive to hearing more?
It's possible. It's possible.
Or should we go back to them again?
With more information, that might be helpful. I mean, we didn't have any information. Like
Right.
we didn't know that, you know, what it would even look like, you know, I mean.
I think it's worth looking into. I mean, but again, with budget, we'll, could be down the road. We can also fundraise for it if it's something, you know, we really want. But, like a look of what we have in mind with a proposal, like, you know, just mention and bring it back to them.
Is anybody opposed to doing that? Getting information and why don't we, you know, I'll relay that back to Nicole. We'll work on gathering some things, but obviously it's not a pressing issue.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing that, like you said, is within the budget this year. But maybe just something that we could potentially support in the future. Sherry?
Maybe look into what other schools are doing for signage.
Exactly, yeah. That's a good point.
Especially the, you know, rural ones.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, I think we should look at what's allowed in each zone property, it's available.
Yes, yes.
It's worth starting. It could take 5 years, but we have to start somewhere.
At least
Okay.
how long
If we
it
can
took
get
us to get
approved.
the speed limit signs.
Well,
up there.
exactly. So nothing happens overnight. So if we can start the process and get some answers and roadblocks, we'll at least know what we're dealing with and we can make decisions from there.
Great. Thank you. All right. Very good. New business, we have some first readings. Action items. Water heater. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that I'll make
I am going to make a motion that we purchase from FW Web a hot water heater with the specifications that are appropriate for John Jarvis, not to exceed $7,000 to come from non-lapsing funds.
One second.
The motion by Brian, seconded by Alexis. John, would you like to give up the rest of the board a little update
Sure. So the Bradford and White water heater that we have right now has failed. Sprang a leak and is not in operation. We have indirect water heaters that are currently being heated with our boilers. When it gets warm outside, those boilers shut off on outside air temp, so we won't have any hot water. So we need to look to purchase a separate water heater to supply us hot water in the off-heating season. So I looked into a bunch of different companies. We got some different pricing. The highest price we actually got was $46,000. And the water heater that we want to look at purchasing is a Bach oil-fired water heater. It has a storage capacity of 67 gallons and is 200,000 BTUs, which is under the ASME certification that we would be required to have. So that's kind of the direction that we're looking at going. It's just purchasing the water heater and installing it ourselves. It's for linemen. Yep.
Any questions? Discussion? No? All those in favor of approving up to $7,000 from non-lapsing for the water heater at the Lyman Memorial, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Thanks, John. All right, any items for next agenda? Don't forget, we will be on the lookout for a special meeting agenda on the 22nd to approve the budget. All right, thanks very much. We will adjourn at 8:31.
Andy, I was pretty, see
You
there?
were on. You were on. Color coordination.
Andy, do you
How's
want?
Juliana feeling? I saw her in the gym.
Good.
She's doing good? No. Yeah. Did anyone?
No.
Yeah, if you were on the finance subcommittee, I can take